Peter Lockett and I are outside counsel for National Grid. We're project for you. It's a construction of a new 345 kV transmission line to connect Wind Energy's proposed Clear River Energy Center to the New England electric grid via connection to the Sherman Road switching station. All the project is located in Burrillville, Rhode Island. As mentioned earlier, the co-applicants for this project are the Narragansett Electric Company, TVA National Grid, and Clear River Energy LLC. The project area includes 6 miles of the existing Narragansett Electric Company right-of-way and 0.8 miles of the new Clear River Energy right-of-way, which is located on the property owned by Algonquin. Per the Energy Facility Siting Act, the purpose of the preliminary hearing is to determine the issues to be considered in the evaluation of the application, designate agencies to issue advisory opinions on these issues, and determine petitions for intervention. I'll summarize the EFSB standards for the grant of license for the purpose of identifying issues to be considered in evaluating the application. The standards require a finding that the facility is needed, that the facility is cost justified, and will transmit electricity at the lowest reasonable cost consistent with applicable statutes, and that the facility will not cause unacceptable harm to the environment and will enhance the socioeconomic fabric of the state. We recognize that the purpose of this preliminary hearing is not to get into substantive testimony. So we have Mr. Barron, Mr. David Barron, who's the project manager for National Grid, who's here to provide a high-level overview of the project. And so we'll present that at the appropriate time. Not sure if there's any other procedural matters that need to be completed before then.
I don't believe there are. Council, are there any? We don't have any additional.
Not that I'm aware.
Okay. Well, I'd like to begin by calling Mr. David Barron.
This Mr. testimony about to give in this matter will be true, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Will be that?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Would you state your full name for the record, please?
David Barron, B-E-R-O.
Should we grab the microphone for this here? Oh, sorry. It was blocked by the chair.
Oh, but it's on the side. So you have
Mr. Barron, please state your name for the record.
My name is David Barron.
And your employer?
I work for National Grid USA Service Company.
And what is your position with National Grid?
I'm a principal project manager in the project management and complex construction group.
And are you familiar with the Burrillville Interconnection Project?
Yes, I am. I'm the project manager for the Burrillville Interconnection Project.
And please please summarize your obligations as a project manager.
I really have responsibility for all aspects of assigned projects, from scope development, managing all aspects, scope development, engineering, permitting, licensing, project estimation, compliance with permit conditions and environmental guidelines, construction, and ultimately testing and commissioning of facilities.
And how long have you worked in this field?
I've been in the utility industry for 30 years. Approximately 15 years of that were as a transmission line engineer, and 15 years as a project manager. I have a Bachelor of Science degree from the University of Rhode Island in engineering. I have a master's degree in management from Wesley University. I'm a registered professional engineer in the state of Rhode Island and a certified project management professional.
Thank you. Would you please present the presentation for us?
Sure. So this slide pack is intended to provide a high-level overview of the Burrillville Interconnection Project. Basically, we'll provide an overview of the project, discuss the project need, the estimated costs, permits and approvals that are being sought in connection with the project, and a high-level schedule discussion. This slide is a little difficult to read, but the project is essentially the construction of a new 6.8-mile, 345,000 volt transmission line from the proposed Clear River Energy Center to the Sherman Road switching station. The project is entirely located within the town of Burrillville. As Mr. Watson mentioned in his opening, the project is a joint application between National Grid, the Narragansett Electric Company, and Clear River Energy for the new transmission line. As I mentioned, the line is 6.8 miles in length. Approximately 6 miles of that would be located in the existing National Grid right-of-way, and approximately 0.8 of a mile are proposed to be located on a new right-of-way that would be located on the property where the power plant is proposed, on the Spectra property. The project also involves the realignment of two 1.6-mile sections of existing 345 transmission lines in order to make room for the new proposed line, and also one span, or approximately 250 feet, of another 345,000 volt line just outside the Sherman Road switching station. The reason we're doing that is to avoid having two lines cross each other, which is a reliability exposure. So by relocating that one span at the switching station, we're able to avoid a 345 kV line crossing. And then lastly, there are improvements to be made at the Sherman Road switching station, which again is in Burrillville, in the vicinity of the existing Ocean State power plant. The improvements we're making there are the addition of what we call a new bay in the station, consisting of a terminal structure, breakers, switches, and control equipment. All those equipment additions, however, are proposed within the existing fence line of the switching station, so there's no expansion of the switching station itself. So the project is really born out of National Grid's obligation to connect the Clear River Energy Center into the transmission network. As a public utility, National Grid is obligated to interconnect generators, independent power producers into their networks. The point of interconnection, which is again Sherman Road switching station, was determined by the independent system operator of New England. One thing we do want to point out is that Clear River Energy is responsible for all costs associated with this project, from engineering, permitting, licensing, construction, and ongoing operation and maintenance costs associated with the facility. This schematic is taken out of the figures that were part of National Grid's application for the siting board, and it's really a schematic overview of what is really being proposed. So the existing conditions are shown along the top here, and schematically, again, this is the Sherman Road switching station, and this is the existing National Grid right-of-way. The first 4.4 miles of the National Grid right-of-way are 500 feet in width, and the balance going towards Connecticut is 300 feet in width. And the bottom of this figure illustrates the proposed conditions. So in the lower left here would be the proposed generating station, and this first section represents the 0.8 mile section of new right-of-way that would be on the Spectra property. As I mentioned earlier, the project involves the realignment of 2 existing transmission lines. The reason for that is in this 300-foot wide section from where the new line enters National Grid's right-of-way to the vicinity of the Clear River. The right-of-way is only 300 feet in width, and there isn't sufficient space on the south side of the right-of-way to build the new proposed line. So what we're proposing to do is construct along the north side a new section of what will become the 341 line, which is an existing line. In the same section, we'll connect the existing 347 line into the position that was presently occupied by the 341 line. And that'll essentially shuffle those 2 lines to the north on the right-of-way, opening up a space along the south edge in which we can build the new transmission line, which is essentially along the alignment of the existing 347 line. This is illustrated, it's a little bit confusing, but it's illustrated further on in this presentation in terms of the right-of-way cross sections.
Yes, I have.
Once we get to the vicinity of the Clear River, for about 4.4 miles, the right-of-way is wider, it's 500 feet in width, and there is sufficient space along the south edge of the corridor to build the new line. So no modifications to existing facilities are needed in this 4.4 mile section. This is a cross-section of that first 0.8 of a mile of new right-of-way on the Spectra property, what we're calling the CREC right-of-way. The proposal is to clear a strip of approximately 150-foot width of trees and build a new transmission line in the center of that on H-frame steel pole type structures as illustrated here. Typical height of these structures is approximately 85 feet above ground. This cross-section is segment 2 from the point where the new line enters National Grid's right-of-way to the vicinity of the Clear River. Again, this is about 1.6 miles in length, and this is the section of the right-of-way that is 300 feet in width. And what I was describing earlier in the schematic figure is illustrated here. So our proposal is, and I should mention this is drawn facing west, so towards Connecticut, if you will. The proposal is to clear a strip of trees approximately 55 feet in width along the northerly side of the right-of-way, and that'll provide room for us to build a new section of the 341 line on these single monopole structures. The 341 line would then be connected into this new section, and the 347 line would then be connected into what was formerly the 341 line, and basically that opens up this spot, this position on the corridor in which we will construct the new 345 transmission line. This is a photo simulation of what this section of the corridor would look like. This is a view taken from Buck Hill Road facing again towards Connecticut. So here you would see on the left the existing conditions, the existing 347 line, the existing 341 line. These are both 345,000 volt transmission lines. And then on the right side of this figure is a simulation of the post-construction conditions. So on the right side of this photo, you see the new single pole, which would carry the 341 line. The middle circuit, which is again steel H-frame structures, would be the relocated 347 line. And then on the left of this figure is the new 345 kV line. We've designated that to be the 3052 line. That's its number, if you will. and that would be constructed along the south edge of the existing corridor. And this last cross-section illustrates segment 3 of the right-of-way, which again is the 4.4-mile section from the vicinity of Clear River to Sherman Road switching station. The existing corridor is 500 feet in width, and as I mentioned, there's sufficient space along the south side of the corridor in which to build the new transmission line without modifying the 2 existing lines. So the proposal is to clear a strip of trees approximately 85 feet in width and simply construct the new transmission line, again, on steel pole A-frame structures. This is a photo simulation of this section of the right-of-way. This is actually facing east, so towards Sherman Road, if you will. It's taken from Round Top Road. On the left, again, are the existing conditions, the existing 347 and 341 transmission lines. On the right side of this figure is a simulation of the proposed condition showing the construction of the new 3052 line on the south edge of the right-of-way. This slide summarizes the estimated costs of the project. So the transmission line facilities are estimated to cost $41 million. The improvements at Sherman Road switching station are estimated to cost $6.2 million for a total of $47.2 million. These are conceptual grade estimates, so they have an expected accuracy of -25 plus 50%. And this transmission line cost does include all costs associated with the new line as well as the modification of the existing transmission lines. The next slide, this is slide 13, lists some of the major permits and approvals we're seeking in connection with the project. So obviously seeking an order from the Energy Facility Siting Board. We're seeking a Section 404 permit from the Army Corps of Engineers for wetlands. From the Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management, we're looking for a freshwater wetlands permit, a 401 water quality certification, and authorization under the RIPD's program. When we get closer to construction, we'll be seeking permits from the Rhode Island Department of Transportation for work zone traffic management, where we might be working next to or crossing state highways. And then at the local level, from the town of Burrillville, we'll be seeking dimensional variance for height relief for the height of the transmission structures, for construction work hour variance, and for approval under the soil erosion and sediment control ordinance from the town building official. And lastly, this slide presents the schedule that was included in our siting board application. So very high level, just activities for planning and engineering, permitting and licensing, construction, and then placing the facilities in service. We recognize that the power plant docket has seen some delays and some extension of those timelines, so this schedule would be modified accordingly. I guess what I want to make clear here is that the transmission line project, if approved, would not commence unless the power plant was also approved. So we would not start any construction until both projects had all permits in hand.
You said you wouldn't start any construction work. Is there any plan to start any work until there's word on whether or not Invenergy's application is granted?
Not physical work in the field. We would obviously be doing things like engineering and design, finalizing designs, procurement of materials, preparation for construction, but not actually cutting any trees or putting a shovel in the ground, so no physical construction work at all. Does that answer your question? And that concludes the overview presentation.